The alarm sounds, and before your feet touch the floor, your hand reaches for the phone. A message is waiting. A headline is moving. Someone needs an answer. Something was left unfinished yesterday, and now it has arrived early to demand a place in today. Within moments, other people's priorities have entered your mind before your own purpose has spoken. Then the body rises, but the mind is already running. You are brushing your teeth while rehearsing a difficult conversation. You are preparing breakfast while carrying a problem that has not yet happened. You are moving, responding, checking, remembering, and before breakfast, pressure has already taken the chair of authority. But let me ask you, is the real problem the number of demands, or is it that no order was established before those demands arrived? Responsibilities are real. Families need care. Work requires attention. Unexpected events do not wait for convenient hours. The answer is not to pretend that urgency does not exist. The answer is to stop allowing urgency to decide who you will be while you face it. Think about this. The first thing that receives your attention often begins interpreting everything that follows. If fear speaks first, every request can sound like a threat. If hurry speaks first, every pause can feel like failure. If another person's expectation speaks first, you may spend the entire day measuring yourself by a standard you never deliberately accepted. This is not merely a scheduling issue. It is a transfer of authority. Pressure does not need permission when purpose has made no prior decision. It enters through an unguarded sequence. It gains influence because it arrived before you established direction. And once pressure is governing, the mind becomes scattered, the spirit becomes unsettled, and action becomes reactive. Purpose must therefore receive deliberate authority before pressure receives automatic access. You may not control everything that comes toward you, but you can establish the order from which you respond. That order will not remove every anxious thought or stressful moment, and it is not a promise of clinical relief. It is a practical and spiritual way of making peace and calm more available as governing postures rather than accidental visitors. Over the next movements, we will establish 3 connected morning decisions, a structure simple enough to remember when life is already moving. First, a decision concerning spiritual posture. Second, a decision concerning mental focus. Third, a decision concerning purposeful movement. You will learn why they belong in that order, what each one requires, and how they work together. The goal is not a demand-free life. The goal is a governed life. You are not trying to escape responsibility. You are preparing to meet it without surrendering your inner authority. You are not refusing the world. You are deciding how you will enter it. Before the messages, before the demands, before the momentum of everyone else's agenda, purpose must be allowed to speak. So the deeper question is not simply, what captured my morning? The deeper question is, what have I permitted to govern me? Governance is the answer. Not control of every event, not command over every person, and not the fantasy of a morning without interruption. Governance is choosing the source from which you will live, the meaning you will assign to what arrives, and the direction your response will take before competing demands make those choices for you. The opening minutes are like a gateway. They do not contain the whole day, but they influence what enters your inner life and in what order. A gate does not prevent every visitor from arriving. It establishes access. In the same way, you cannot stop every need, surprise, or difficult thought from appearing, but you can decide whether each arrival will be treated as an advisor, an assignment, or an absolute authority. Did you catch that? The issue is not whether you are available. The issue is what your availability serves. There is a difference between responsibility and reactivity. A child may need immediate care. A colleague may face a genuine crisis. A family matter may require you to change your plan. Responding to a real need can be an expression of purpose. But compulsively responding to every vibration, request, memory, and signal is not responsibility. It is attention without discernment. Responsibility answers what matters. Reactivity obeys whatever appears. This is why the 3 morning decisions must form an ordered chain. Spiritual alignment determines your posture, the inner position from which you will meet the day. Mental focus determines your priority, the central purpose by which you will interpret competing claims. Purposeful action converts that priority into movement, one deliberate step that gives visible expression to what you have chosen. Posture, priority, movement. The order matters. If you begin with action before alignment, you may become busy without becoming directed. Energy increases, tasks multiply, and yet the deeper question remains unanswered. What is all this movement serving? Restless activity can imitate progress while carrying you farther from what matters. But alignment cannot remain isolated either. Prayer without a chosen focus may comfort the spirit while leaving the mind open to fragmentation. Focus without movement may produce admirable intentions that never enter the day. Alignment must shape thought, thought must guide action, and action must embody purpose. These are not three unrelated habits added to an already crowded checklist. They are one system of ordered authority. Let this become clear. You are not being asked to become unavailable to people. You are being invited to become answerable to purpose. When you are available to every demand, the loudest signal decides your direction. When you are answerable to a defined purpose, you can serve others without letting every request redefine you. You can change your schedule without abandoning your center. You can respond quickly without becoming inwardly ruled by haste. That is stewardship. You may not govern what enters the day, but you can govern what receives authority within you. You steward your attention by deciding where it rests first. You steward interpretation by deciding what will give events their meaning. You steward response by deciding whether your next movement will come from fear, impulse, or purpose. And because posture comes before priority, the first decision must go deeper than planning. Before the mind chooses what matters most, the spirit must remember the source to which it is answerable. So now we begin with the foundation, how to establish spiritual alignment before outside voices attempt to define the day. The first decision is therefore a question of authority. Will this morning begin from relationship with God and remembered purpose, or will it begin from whatever demands immediate attention? Before asking what the day wants from you, remember whom you serve and who you must become within the day. Most people check for messages before they check the condition of their inner life. They discover who has written, what has changed, what is late, and what requires an answer. Yet they have not asked, what is governing me right now? Am I entering this day with gratitude or resentment, trust or fear, service or self-protection? Technology is not the enemy. Messages can carry real responsibilities. Information can help you serve wisely. The issue is order. Access should follow alignment. When the world enters before your posture is established, the first demand may begin defining your identity, your motives, and your emotional direction. But when you become aligned first, you can receive the same demand without allowing it to tell you who you are. So make the practice simple. Become still. Surrender what you are carrying. Then ask what today requires of you as a person and as a steward. Stillness does not require a perfect room or a silent house. It means you stop volunteering your attention to every internal and external voice. Breathe. Let your body become present. Refuse for a moment to rehearse the entire day. You are not solving anything yet. You are becoming available to God before becoming available to pressure. Then surrender both anxiety and ambition. We often recognize worry as a burden, but ambition can govern just as strongly. Fear says, what if everything goes wrong? Ambition says, I must make everything go my way. Spiritual alignment releases both. It acknowledges that you have responsibilities, but you are not the owner of every outcome. Your prayer need not be impressive. It can be honest. God, thank you for this day and for the life entrusted to me. I surrender what I fear and what I am trying to control. Examine my motives. Give me wisdom for what matters. Humility in how I respond, and courage to obey the responsibilities I already know. Help me serve without losing truth, move without haste, and remain willing to be corrected. Those words are not a formula. Adapt them, shorten them, speak plainly. The purpose is not performance, it is position. Gratitude remembers the gift. Surrender releases false control. Clear motives protect service from ego. Wisdom prepares discernment. Willingness turns devotion toward responsibility. Think of a compass. It does not flatten rough ground, remove storms, or shorten every journey. It keeps difficulty from becoming direction. Without alignment, discomfort can decide your path. You avoid what frightens you, chase what flatters you, and resent what inconveniences you. With alignment, the terrain may remain demanding, but hardship no longer gets to rename your destination. And what if the morning gives you no long quiet period? Imagine a worker waking to an urgent call that genuinely requires immediate action. There may be no time for extended reflection, but there can still be 60 intentional seconds. Feet on the floor, one breath, one act of surrender, one question. God, settle my motives. Show me how to serve this need wisely. Help me act from responsibility, not panic. Then the worker moves. That brief practice is not inferior because it is compressed. Alignment is measured by sincerity and direction, not by duration. A spacious morning may allow 10 minutes. A demanding morning may allow 1. The form can bend without losing its function. Prayer, in this practice, is not avoidance. It is not an attempt to predict every event, and it is not a guarantee that the day will become easy. It establishes posture before action. It reminds you that demands may require your labor without possessing your identity. But a settled spirit is only the foundation. Once your posture is aligned, the mind must receive a specific assignment. Otherwise, calm reflection can dissolve into scattered attention. The next decision is to choose the one governing thought that will organize what you notice, interpret, and pursue. A quiet spirit can still carry a crowded mind. You may rise from prayer sincere, grateful, and surrendered, yet remain uncertain about where your attention belongs. Every responsibility seems important. Every unfinished matter requests consideration. Alignment has established the source from which you will live, but focus must now determine what that alignment requires today. This is the second decision. Give the mind one governing thought. Attention is like a spotlight. Many things may remain present in the room, but whatever the light rests upon becomes clearer, larger, and easier to pursue. If the spotlight keeps moving, you see fragments without direction. If it rests only on danger, danger begins to dominate the whole scene. What you repeatedly illuminate gains strength in your interpretation, even when it does not deserve authority over your day. So after surrender, ask one governing question. What responsibility, contribution, or relationship must receive purposeful attention today? Not everything that could be done. Not everything you wish were already finished. What must receive deliberate attention if this day is to express the purpose you have remembered? Then write the answer in one short sentence. Today, I am responsible to complete the decision that will give my team clear direction. Or, today, I am responsible to be fully present in an important family conversation. Or, today, I am responsible to give focused effort to the skill I have committed to develop. Keep it specific. Keep it honest. Keep it short enough to remember when the day becomes noisy. This sentence is not an expansive wish list dressed in inspirational language. It is a practical interpretation of alignment. Your full task list may still contain appointments, errands, correspondence, maintenance, and ordinary duties. Those responsibilities do not disappear because you have selected one focus. The governing thought is not the whole list. It is the filter through which you approach the list. Think about this. A filter does not deny what arrives. It helps you decide what should pass through now. When a new demand appears, ask 3 questions. Is this truly mine? Is it important now? Does it support or displace today's purpose? Some demands belong to you and require immediate attention. Some are yours but can wait. Some should be delegated. Some were never your responsibility, although habit, guilt, or another person's urgency may pressure you to adopt them. Imagine a leader beginning the morning with many messages. Several contain useful questions. A few request minor approvals. Others merely invite immediate conversation. But the leader has already written, "Today I am responsible to finish the decision brief that will clarify our next step." That sentence changes interpretation. A genuine emergency may interrupt the work, but incidental requests no longer receive equal weight simply because they arrived. The leader answers what is essential, delays what can wait, delegates what belongs elsewhere, and protects the period needed to complete the brief. Without that chosen focus, every message can feel like an instruction. With it, each message must pass through discernment. And what about anxiety? Do not pretend the anxious thought is absent, and do not shame yourself for noticing it. Name it. Then ask, is there a real responsibility beneath this fear? If there is, identify the next responsible response. Perhaps a conversation must be prepared for, information must be gathered, or a neglected duty must be addressed. But refuse to let fear alone select the priority. Anxiety may alert you to a concern. It is not therefore qualified to govern your attention. This distinction matters. You are not ignoring difficulty. You are separating signal from command. You can acknowledge a concern without giving it the entire spotlight. You can act responsibly without building the day around imagined outcomes. Now, the morning has produced two clear outputs. First, an aligned posture, surrendered, attentive, and ready to serve. Second, a named focus, one sentence that tells the mind what purpose requires today. Posture establishes how you will enter the day. Focus establishes what will organize your attention within it. But purpose has not yet taken visible authority. A governing thought can still remain only a sentence on paper. The final question is therefore unavoidable. What concrete movement will prove that purpose moved before urgency? The answer is not another idea, it is an act. The third decision is this. Choose what purpose will advance before asking what pressure once answered. Once your spirit is aligned and your mind has named its focus, give that focus one meaningful movement before you enter the ordinary stream of notifications, replies, and requests. Intention is valuable, but intention is not evidence. You can write a clear priority, admire it, and still surrender the morning to the first interruption. A sentence that never becomes behavior remains vulnerable. Purpose becomes the governor when it receives movement, not merely admiration. So what qualifies as the right action? Use 3 criteria. It must connect directly to your governing focus. It must have a visible finish line. And it must be small enough to begin within the morning window you actually possess. Connection keeps the action relevant. A visible finish line keeps it from becoming vague. Feasibility keeps ambition from creating an assignment so large that you postpone it before beginning. Suppose your focus concerns a proposal. Your first action may be to outline its opening page. If the day's responsibility concerns your family, you might prepare the essential plan that clarifies transportation, care, timing, or a needed decision. If a strained relationship requires honesty, you may complete the difficult but necessary message instead of rehearsing it repeatedly. If you are developing a skill, practice the first defined segment before unrelated activity scatters your attention. Notice what these actions share. Each one can be completed. Each leaves something that was not there before. An outline, a plan, a message, a practice segment. The action does not have to finish the whole responsibility. It must advance it. Do not confuse preparation with movement. Preparation serves purpose when it removes a real barrier to action. But endless preparation is often hesitation wearing respectable clothing, rearranging materials, reviewing the same notes, designing another schedule, or searching for the perfect method can create the sensation of commitment without its cost. Ask yourself, when this block ends, what evidence will show that I moved? If the only result is another plan to begin later, choose again. Protect the earliest realistic block. It may be 20 minutes, 10 minutes, or 5 concentrated minutes. Before routine inbox review, before casual notification checking, place your attention on the action you selected. Put the phone beyond automatic reach. Prepare the necessary materials the night before. Define the stopping point before you start. The first page outlined, the essential arrangements written, the message completed, the first exercise practiced. Environment matters because discipline should not depend entirely on winning the same internal argument every morning. Make distraction slightly harder to reach and purpose slightly easier to begin. But what if someone genuinely needs you immediately? Then serve the real need. Caregiving, safety, and urgent responsibility are not enemies of purpose. The mistake would be pretending they do not matter or allowing them to erase deliberate action for the rest of the day. Reserve the next available threshold. When care is stable, when the immediate danger has passed, or when the necessary handoff is complete, return to the smallest valid movement connected to your focus. You are not abandoning the order, you are carrying it forward under changed conditions. And do not expect this action to make the remainder of the day effortless. Calm execution does not come from believing that nothing difficult will happen. It comes from knowing what governs the next step. You may still receive unexpected news. Plans may still change. Other people may still require patience. But noise did not receive the first deliberate movement. Meaning did. Now the framework is complete. Align the spirit so pressure does not define your posture. Focus the mind so competing demands do not assign equal importance to everything. Advance one purposeful action so your priority enters the world as behavior. Posture, focus, movement. When these three decisions remain separate, they can feel like additional morning duties. But when they operate together, they become one compact rhythm. Remember your authority, name today's responsibility, and move it forward. The next step is to see how that rhythm fits inside an ordinary morning without turning purpose into another burden. So let us gather the whole rhythm into 3 verbs you can carry into any morning. Align, aim, advance. Align your spiritual posture before outside pressure assigns one to you. Aim your mind toward the responsibility that deserves governing attention. Advance that responsibility through one visible act. These words are a recall device, not a replacement for the deeper work. Alignment remembers authority. Aim chooses focus. Advance turns purpose into evidence. Picture one hypothetical morning. The alarm sounds, but the phone remains untouched. Not because the phone is dangerous, and not because every message can wait indefinitely, but because access has an order. The person sits in the location chosen the night before, breathes, and offers a brief prayer of gratitude, surrender, and willingness. Nothing dramatic happens. The room does not change. The schedule does not disappear. But the inner posture settles before the day begins making claims. Then comes the aim. On the paper already waiting, one sentence is written. Today I will bring clarity to the responsibility that has remained uncertain. That sentence narrows the field. It does not eliminate every obligation. It identifies what must not be lost among them. Beside the paper are the materials for the first task, also prepared the night before the person begins. For the next block of time, the chosen responsibility receives concentrated effort before messages are opened. When the block ends, there is visible movement, something clarified, drafted, organized, or completed. Only then does the wider day enter. Do you see the handoff? Alignment reduces the inner competition between fear, ambition, resentment, and responsibility. Focus narrows the field so every demand does not appear equally authoritative. Action creates grounded momentum by giving the chosen focus a physical expression. One decision prepares the next. On a normal morning, the entire rhythm might require 20 minutes. 5 minutes to align, 3 minutes to aim, and 12 minutes to advance. But hear this carefully. That is an example, not a law. The power is not hidden in the numbers. You are establishing governance, not performing a ritual to force the day to cooperate. A constrained morning can carry the same order in compressed form. Take 1 minute to become present. Surrender your motives and ask for wisdom. Write one focus. Then take one immediate next step. If even that step cannot be completed because a legitimate need is already present, protect a specific appointment for it. Name the time, prepare the material, and return when the threshold arrives. Shorter does not mean meaningless. Flexible does not mean careless. The sequence survives because its function remains intact. And consistency begins before the alarm. Choose the location tonight. Place the paper where you will see it. Set out whatever the first meaningful action may require. Decide what will remain closed until the sequence is complete, the inbox, the news, the casual scroll, or any channel that tends to recruit your attention before discernment is awake. Morning intention becomes more reliable when evening preparation has removed unnecessary choices. But do not make this practice superstitious. Align, aim, advance is not a bargain guaranteeing that nothing difficult will happen. It is not proof of spiritual superiority. It is not a standard by which you punish yourself for missing a morning. The day may still become complicated. Plans may shift. Energy may be low. The evidence of a governed morning is simpler: a settled posture, a chosen focus, and a purposeful movement. Return now to the opening scene. The alarm sounds. The world is waiting outside with messages, memories, demands, and momentum. But this time, it does not enter an empty house and appoint itself ruler. Purpose is already standing at the gate. And yet some mornings will resist even this simple rhythm. The sequence will be interrupted, delayed, or missed entirely. The next question is whether one broken opening must be allowed to govern the rest of the day. No. A broken opening does not require a broken day. Some mornings begin with a crying child. Some begin with illness, an emergency, travel, exhaustion, or work that genuinely cannot wait. Any discipline that ignores these realities is too fragile for real life. Purpose is not proven by refusing a legitimate need so that you can protect an ideal routine. Sometimes caring, responding, adapting, or resting is the purposeful action. Understand the principle. Purpose before pressure is an order of authority, not an inflexible rule of the clock. Chronology may be interrupted. Authority can still be restored. You may not control what demands the first minute, but you can decide what governs the next available decision. This is where you practice the next threshold reset. A threshold is any natural transition in the day, before the next meeting, before beginning another task, before a journey, or before entering a digital channel. At that boundary, pause. Align your posture with one breath and one honest prayer. Aim by naming what matters now. Then advance by taking the next purposeful step or scheduling it at a specific time if present responsibility prevents immediate movement. The reset may take less than 2 minutes. Its brevity does not weaken it. You are interrupting unconscious momentum and returning authority to purpose. But perhaps you did not reset. Perhaps the entire morning disappeared into reaction. What then? Correct the pattern without condemning the person. Correction says, something in my sequence failed. Let me learn from it. Condemnation says, I failed. Therefore, this practice is not for me. One produces wisdom. The other produces abandonment. Do not turn a missed rhythm into an identity verdict. Instead, conduct a short audit. Where did pressure enter? Which cue was missing? What can be prepared tonight? Perhaps the phone was too near. Perhaps the focus had never been defined. Perhaps fatigue revealed the need for a more realistic version. Be honest, but remain kind enough to learn. Shame stares backward and pronounces judgment. Stewardship looks backward only long enough to prepare the next faithful response. And guard this practice from spiritual legalism and productivity competition. You are not collecting perfect mornings to prove devotion. You are not racing another person's schedule. You are learning to serve faithfully with the life, responsibilities, and capacity entrusted to you. The goal is not superiority. The goal is responsible return. If the opening is lost, begin at the next threshold. If that threshold is missed, begin at the next one. Return quickly, calmly, honestly. Perfection worships the sequence. Purpose uses the sequence and knows how to begin again. Now recovery has given you freedom. The final step is participation. To prepare tonight, speak your decision, offer your prayer, and give purpose a deliberate beginning tomorrow. So do not leave this message as an idea you admired. Convert it into a decision you have prepared to keep. Tonight, take a brief audit. What pressure usually reaches for you first? Name it without fear. Then write the question you will answer tomorrow. What responsibility, contribution, or relationship must receive purposeful attention today? Finally, select one feasible action that can move that answer forward. Prepare the path. Place the phone where reaching for it requires a conscious choice. Put the paper where your eyes will meet it. Set out the materials your purposeful action requires. Let the environment support the order you have chosen. Align the spirit. Aim the mind. Advance one meaningful action. Then say this aloud in words that belong to you. Pressure may arrive, but it will not appoint the governor of this day. I will seek spiritual alignment before surrendering my attention. I will choose a clear focus before accepting every demand. I will move purpose before entering reaction. This declaration does not deny reality. It establishes responsibility within reality. Now let us pray. God, give me wisdom for the life entrusted to me. Surrender my motives where fear, pride, or control has distorted them. Discipline my attention so I can recognize what matters without becoming ruled by everything that calls. Give me courage to take the meaningful step I already know to take. And when interruption comes, give me grace to return without shame, excuse, or despair. Help me serve faithfully, respond truthfully, and remain teachable throughout the day. Amen. Now pause. Let the prayer settle before you rush toward another thought. For the next 7 mornings, practice this as an experiment, not a performance. Align, aim, advance, keep the version small enough to begin. After each morning, notice what helped, where pressure entered, and what needs adjustment. 7 mornings will not make you perfect. They will make the pattern visible. And what becomes visible can be stewarded. Tomorrow does not need to be silent before you can live with purpose. Your life does not need to become easier before it can become ordered. You are learning to meet noise without becoming noise, to face demand without becoming demand, and to enter responsibility from a centered spirit, a focused mind, and a willing hand. Pressure may be waiting when morning comes, but purpose will already be there. Give it the first deliberate yes.